Welcome to the second day of my 3-day event. Today is about footwork. Now, it builds on yesterday that was about stance and structure. And why? Because stance and structure is what you move around with when you're using your footwork. So it's the foundation of the footwork. So footwork-wise, we have to understand why, what is the skills I want to deliver with footwork. And you can divide it in simplify it in 5 different categories. First one is controlling distance. That means that for example, if I'm in here and he moves backwards, I can follow along, or he moves closer to me, I can create or make space. So I control the space. The next thing is creating angles. That means when he moves in, I can move to one angle, or he moves in, I can move to another angle. So that is the angling. The third thing is actually just the balance. That's not so much about touch, it's more if I have to move around that my body is constantly in balance, that I'm not losing balance. But if he gives pressure into me while I'm doing it, I need to be able to be stable. So the stability is also important. And the fifth and last thing is, of course, delivering force. So at the moment that I touch, that the footwork will also create force. So that's the basic ideas. Now, when we are working on it as a theme, you can say that there's different focus. We can have accuracy in the footwork, so precisely how's my body, and if I move, how do I exactly move, totally accurate. It could also be coordination, a specific coordination of movement related to if I want to step out here and step in a different direction. It could also be related to harmony. When I'm moving around, is my body and my arms and my legs moving as a unit and combined and connected the right way according to the force. It could also be speed. So how fast can you move accordingly? How fast can you move in and out or in an angle? It could also be agility, the ability to shift directions. So you quickly can shift directions. It can also be timing, knowing that when he steps in, I have to step at the exact right timing, getting to that precision where if he punches from there, I still have control. It can also be transitions. So if he kicks that, I step out to a position from where I can. Doesn't matter from where I can kick, for example. So the ability to have a transition between different kinds of techniques. So a lot of things to work on. Now we're going to split it down, but before we even go any further, we have to understand this. Different lineages, different ideas. There is no right or wrong. There's just more or less ideal compared, or if you look at the context or the situation. You want to know if, for example, this idea also, as I mentioned yesterday, if I want to be able to be more agile and fast and have great mobility, a smaller footwork will be better for me. If I want to be more stable, balanced, and ability to generate even more force, and a broader base of support will support that. So that's why we are, depending on style, you will have a different distance between the feet, creating different bases of support. So, and then we have foot angles. We're going to get back into that. So, we are only looking at, when we're looking at a technique, we don't so much look at the technique from like a way it's supposed to look. It's more a understanding of the mechanics and how it serves the purpose it was meant for. That's the whole idea. That's the most important understanding. So, theme-wise, we have 3 basic ideas. That's yesterday, the stance, which relates mostly to how I carry my body when I'm moving around. We have the turns, the ability to rotate or turn while moving or stepping, but the body's ability to turn. And then we have the stepping, different kinds of stepping, how we move. So those are the general 3 themes that we have to connect. Within those, we have to understand this. Everything we do when we move, we always move for a position of advantage. Even the stance in the beginning, if we stand in front of each other, we equalize each other. If one of us has a little better structure than the other, they will still have, even though we are equal in the base of support or width in the stand or balance and all that, if the structure is different, he pushes into me, I push his back, I'll be able to easier move him, not because he's not standing correctly, just because there's certain places that I'm at this moment better linked. So then, it's all about positions of advantage. If I'm in here, for me, because this is my favorite fighting distance, this palm striking distance, That's my favorite distance. So if I'm here, I'm in a position of advantage. If I'm out here, I'm not in a bad position. I'm just not as advantageous because he has lots more options and a lot more way to move around, so it's more dangerous for me, right? Position of advantage can of course also be like an angle, or that I'm a little above him, so I can use gravitational force, or I'm just under him using ground reaction force. Different ways to play with advantage, but we're not going to get that much into that right now. It's mostly about the footwork. So when we're looking at the footwork, we really are focusing on how can I maximize my attacking opportunities? How can I maximize that? And how can I minimize my opponent's options, both for defense and offense? That is the ideal I'm going to go for with my footwork. So from that, we're going to get into exercises in a minute, but just understanding the first thing we are looking at is the turn. The turn, just the turn. And I think I'm going to recap something from yesterday before we really go into the turn, just to say this. This position we have here, traditionally it's broad, you have your legs together, you're going down in your knees and you're spreading and going out, staying stable while you're at it. This position, they call it yijikimyongma, or they call it pengma, just like a straight stance. If you have 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, this is called tinhaoma. The tin is forward, hao is backwards, so you have 1 foot in each direction. If you're standing here, it's uncommitted. I haven't committed a leg or a side. Here I'm committed, I have a commitment. Now, one thing you have to know, that even though I'm standing a little bit to the middle, for me, some have it differently. For that, I'm still loaded to the rear leg. So there's a rotation into that leg. And we're going to be looking at those rotations and those ways of using and playing with force. Now, when we're looking at the turn, we have to understand, why do we turn? There's different reasons. Let's look at some of them and the applications of a turn. The first thing about turning is called unloading. You want to be able to unload force. I'm going to give you an example. We're going to train it from this position, because if he's pushing like this, and if we're standing both like this, we cannot use our weight as much. We can't use as much ground reaction force. So it's more challenging for our body to control force. And we do that on purpose in the beginning. It's also more difficult to lean here. I can lean into it, or I can get away from it. Here it's more difficult to move around. I'm going to also ask him to put his pressure in the center of my body. Now you have to understand, when he pushes at this point at me, I cannot do it. If he pushes here, if he pushes here, I can bend under it. If he pushes here, I can bend over it. If he pushes a little on one side, I can turn that one or turn on that side. But if he pushes straight into the middle and I don't move the body at all, I'm kind of being moved back. So he's moving my upper body center. If you take the upper body center of mass, it's here. The whole body center of mass is here, but the upper body center of mass is here. It's the upper body power link. It's very important to understand this position. Almost all pressure goes into here, because he has to move that central line in a different position to avoid it, because else he's going to move me. So you're just going to be putting that in here for the first exercise, putting a pressure on here, and what we just want to feel right now is the turning's ability to unload force. I'm not thinking about redirecting or delivering force or unload force. Now, most people, they just turn, but the problem, if I just turn, he pushes, I'm going to fall. That's because I'm turning back. Now, he's already putting pressure into me. So what I do, I actually let this shoulder stay and turn this one forward. So if he pushes into me, forward. Or he pushes into me, forward. So the turn can be from one side or the other side. So you just get used to this turning. So just try it out a little bit, and now I will go over and check it a little bit out. So you have that turn. I put the hand in the middle and show it here. Continue, just go here if you can. Just go here, it's okay. And do a little bit of training. And observe, so the pressure is on the center. I'm trying with my force, I just push actually to deliver the best force, I close my armpit and sink my shoulder and sink the elbow forward, and he removes it away. So I'm doing it here, he removes it away. So he just gets used to this, actually rotating in, rotating in, rotating in, rotating in. And then you can try to make it difficult by having like a a heat-seeking missile, I think it's called, heat-seeking missile. So I'm trying to, when he does that, I'm following and trying to push him where he's going, but he's still stable. On the other side, I'm trying to follow where he's going, he's still stable. See, when he turns here, the funny thing is that the moment he turns, power is automatically being put into that leg. So right now he's just absorbing the power into that leg. If he turns in the opposite direction, he turns it into that leg. Now he can willingly, if he wants to, he can add force into it and put pressure into that foot, if he wanted to. Then he would add pressure into it. But it's just understanding the ability to get rid of that force. Okay, next one. So if we're looking at it, this is the first one of shifting. I just want to do one more or two more as a general idea. The next one is this. He puts it here. What I do, I take my hand and I cross it here, just for the exercise. When he pushes, I'm turning it and I'm pointing my hand to his head right now, and my elbow is in front of my hip. Now his hand is redirected and his whole body is being redirected by me just turning. So I do the same kind of turn as I did before, but because I use this arm, I'm not pushing anything, I'm just placing it here and turning. And elbow is down and I'm pointing to his head. So it's just that idea that you're turning. It pushes, turn, pushes, turn. So you have that turning. Okay? Try that for a little bit. So come over here. Doesn't matter, you can go here to start with. Okay. So if you put your arm, yes, on the other side, here. Yeah. And on the other hand, put the other hand there. Put the pressure in, turn. Yeah, and don't pull it back, do it again. Stay, yeah, turn, put it on. Here, this one, turn, yeah, and stay. Yeah, so it's in front of the hip, pointing to the head, exactly. So just ability to use the turn to redirect his force. Now there's many ways of doing this. You can play around with different ways. There you can sink the elbow, you can fold with the force, you can spread the force, you can slide through the force. All of them will somehow redirect the force. This is just an idea of understanding the application of the turn into the controlling or redirecting force by the body, by not using the arm at all, but just turning the body and feeling how that through the arm is redirecting the force. All right, guys. Next one is the next one we're going to be doing is the delivering force. Now we're going to go through that more tomorrow on third day, day 3 on this 3-day event. But just for the exercise here, I'm going to be me who's doing the training. So I will do the turn, but instead of having to redirect or unload the force, I'm going to take that force. I will sink the elbow. I will close the armpit, I will sink the shoulder, and I will rotate into it through the rotation into him. Not hard, just slow. Just so he gets the feeling that, am I being moved? And when I'm doing it, is my power still there? Or if I choose to go forward, but it's still just the turn, that's the idea in the beginning. So without moving the feet, just rotating into that, getting that feeling, try it out, 2 and 2. Now, the preferred kind of punch is not so important. You can also do it with different other kind of techniques. So just placing a palm on the other person. But here you can just get the sense that you're using the power of the rotation to generate force without doing it very forcefully. Later on, you can put it into a strike. Just the turn, just the turn, just the turn. Feel that it's going through the body into the turn, exactly. Okay, the next one we're going to be looking at we can also do a little bit of an exercise just to understand it. Let me just show it here. Look, if he's here, for me, I have different ways I can turn, 3 different ways, and it depends on what I want to do. Now, if I only turn on the middle, he's still there. So for defensive reason, this kind of turning it's not wrong. You can do it. You can redirect or bounce his hands off, but you have to understand his power is still straight into me. So if I do a turning and I'm forward and I'm attacking, this I'm not sliding anywhere, right? It's just rotating in. So if you're hitting, you're just rotating and striking at the same time. Make sense? So that's straight on. But if I wanted to, from here, we actually call this the revolving door. See? You're rotating here like a revolving door. Now you can call this a sliding door. It's if I want to go on his side, so I'm coming in here, see? If I slide this leg this way over here, I'm using this as a sliding the shoulder this way. I'm not turning this one away. This one stays on this frontal plane and my body comes in here. So I'll just put the arms on him. I don't have to think about techniques. Just turn and keep them there. So we have the idea that this is the rotation. The rotation is that this leg is going forward and then I'm flanking him here. I'm getting out to the side. That is a different kind of turn. In some situations you can do that. Some styles prefer that. Some prefer them more in the middle. Some have a mix of it. Now in Tam Kyu, in the Satyong Wing Chun, and also in many other styles, we also have a way where we are shifting the weight to the front leg. Now that will do different things. It will be able to generate more force, will create even more force, and it will also, if you want to, create a longer reach. See, if I was here and I'm doing this, it has a shorter reach. If he was a little further away from me, I would not be able to reach him. But from the same position, if I did this, now I can easily reach him. So if I choose to go through here, so the attack will come through here, then I will be able to reach him. Where here, I cannot. So that's a long bridge. We call it like a long strike, where this is the traditional Silim Tao short bridge striking. Just to understand the three. So we have one, this is called the revolving door. We have a sliding door, and then we have the hinge door. Imagine this is a hinge. This one stays, and this one goes forward. So if I step into it like this, I'm using a hinge. If I step into it like this, I'm using a slide. Or if I step into it like this, it's just a revolving door. Make sense? So that's the different kind of doors. Doesn't matter where we will add, if you want to add reach or you want to change angle or generate force or redirect something or unload something, that's different options that you have. Now what I want to look at right now is just one last technical idea that's different from system to system. Some systems rotate. When they rotate on the ball of the foot. That means that they are turning on the ball of the foot. They choose the ball of the foot to rotate on. Some they use the heel to rotate on. Some just rotate without moving any feet. And some rotates on the middle of the foot. So different ideas depending on how you see it. Now, I just want you to understand a few things about turns. If I want to open up to this side, I cannot do it from the front of the foot. This will not open up this way. This one will open up this way. So if that's the purpose. If I'm standing here and I want to get a longer reach here, the heel turn is not going to give me any more reach, but if I get on the front part of the foot, I get a longer reach. So in different scenarios, sometimes it's really good to be angling off like this, but sometimes it's much better to just position yourself through the toe, getting into a different position. So it's not like there's a right and a wrong. There's different applications depending on how your system is built, how is the structure, and how is the idea. So let's look at some of these applications in a later, tomorrow actually with the striking, we can look more at it. Right now it's just a footwork idea. So constant movement, that means that even though here, if we stand here we're standing in the middle. We are double weighted. But actually there's a saying that says never be double weighted. And what does that mean? That means that I'm constantly moving. Either I'm moving backwards or forwards or sideways. But at all times when I'm moving, I'm actually adding a little weight either to the front leg or the rear leg. So there's a constant little shift. If there's no shift, if I'm double weighted, I'm going to move slow and I'm going to be very vulnerable. But it doesn't mean that I have to get all the way to this point or all the way to this point. Not because it's wrong, because sometimes it's really good if you want to kick from there or you want to kick from there, that's an option. Or you want to move out of the way and move in at a different angle. Different options with the footwork. But it's not in most cases. So, we have about this turn, I just want to say a few more things here related to the turn. When you do this turning in any way, and also when you do the stepping, everything is actually from the inside. It's the inside of the leg. Also the arms is on the inside in Siulimtao, and Siulimtao inside of the leg here. That means that the power is on the inside. Any movement will be from the inside. Even if you take a step, you are actually just releasing by lifting this knee, but it's this leg that's pulling up. So you're using the power of the inside instead of the power of the outside. So you're having the insides. Two different ways of using force, not a right or wrong, different reasons why you do each. Then we have the gravitational force here, these two things. If I turn my body like this, look, and my body's doing this, and I sink in here, then I use gravitational force in my turn. That's I'm spiraling or I'm screwing downwards. So if he pushes pressures into me, I'm getting down. That is one way of turning. But I can also be in a turn position where I have already gone down, and then I rotate up. So the energy is going up. So sometimes the rotation is using ground reaction force, and sometimes the rotation is using gravitational force. When you have in most cases, the most of it, you want to stay with a gravitational force. You only use the ground reaction force as an opposite force when rotational or gravitational force is already being applied. So, footwork-wise, we're going to start here with a little bit of a half step. Now, once we have to understand the half step is we have to understand that it's just a reposition of my feet or my stance. So half a step, if you see it in traditional, like in boxing or something, they go in and that's a half a step. I didn't move that one, so it's only one part of the foot. Now we do it a little differently. The idea is just that I take one foot forward and I do it with the turn. So I turn this leg and I bring this one forward. Turn and bring it forward. So I turn the body and I bring this leg forward. That's this. It's just half a step. Now, if I'm in a position here where we are standing like this, at this moment right now, he will be too powerful for me because if he put pressure on me, I'm going to fall. So the first thing I have to do, I just have to reposition my legs. Now he pushes. Now I can absorb. See? Or if we both are standing like this and when we're talking to each other, and the moment I do this, I take one foot and put it a little towards his one side. Now it's difficult for him to, if you don't move the foot, here, he cannot put pressure into me. Not from there. He has to reposition. So it gives me an advantage straight away. So just getting that half step in, think about it like this, very lightly. You're just doing this, you turn the body, boom. And then you align yourself turned with this base of support. So try it out here in the background while I'm explaining a little here. So we're standing here, I rotate into it. I rotate into it. I just come back, I rotate into it. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're standing here, you can also rotate into it. Rotate into it. If you're just standing straight up, if you're standing like this, rotate into it. So depends on what base you use. But just that idea of rotating into it. If you're just going back all the time, you can also go back to this point 0 here. So you bring this foot back and then into it, stepping into it, stepping into it. You turn the body while you're doing it, keeping the head up, keeping the spine straight, the tailbone is to the ground. You have a slight pelvic tilt, flattening of the lower back. So you have that idea when you turn. Move, move, move. Just putting that foot forward. Just reposition your base of support so it supports you better according to the pressure coming in. And it's short and it's quick. Okay? Now to that, I want you to add 2 punches. Now in understanding the close distance striking is that the first strike originates from the time you move the foot. It's the hand that sends off the foot. So if I just do 2 strikes here, I'm going to start with a cross. That's also a different thing. On distance, you would start with a jab. Start with a jab. See, typically, not always, from here, this is the punch I can deliver. If I step forward, there is the reach. I can't reach him before, so I will hit at the moment that my foot lands on the ground there. See? There. There. But, or I do a 1-2, 1-2. But in Wing Chun, the idea is that I'm actually already in here. So then I will start with the 2, because I'm already in where I can reach, so I'm not vulnerable that way. And the rear hand is the strongest. So the punch comes at the moment I lift the leg. So you have a 1, 2. So seeing in the air here, if I'm standing here, we can just start with this one as when you step here. See this one, you take the rear hand, you step the foot forward. The moment you leave this one, you hit, and then you hit this one. Or you don't step in, sorry. So you only do this 1, 2. So you haven't even hit this one yet. It's just an idea where you're saying, at the moment that you step forward, if you're standing here, you say 1, 2. The hit has to be now. This hand is the one that leads. Bam! I put myself in a stronger base of support. I'm moving forward. I turn. It's just a turn of the body where you're leaving the knee in with it. Bam, bam. So you're just getting in here. Bam, bam. Hitting those strikes. The hand is not so important. It's just the idea that when do I actually move this? You're getting into that, okay? We're going to go into it later with the hitting tomorrow, but this is just to get why the punch is now. The punch is now. See that? Okay, stop. The next thing is we're going to do this. We call it the short step. It's the full step, and we're going to be doing it first from here. So I'm stepping this one in here. I'm rotating like I want to hit this one, but don't think so much about the hands right now, because then we're going to get confused with punches before we got the legs in. So you have it almost like you punch here. Punch, punch, punch. But no punch is just a step. Wow. Remember when you step in with this one step here? You can have it here to start with, or you can have it where you're just moving here. So let's just do the forward backward one. So you have it here, you stand here. So I'm moving forward to this point. I'm moving back. From the sides here, actually I'm just releasing the knee. That's it. When I release the knee, I automatically, because I'm moving my body forward, I'm moving in here. Now when I'm moving back, I'm lifting not the foot, but the heel, the knee, and then I'm pulling in. So there's a pull, 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 pull. And then eventually you can bring it in so you're like kind of stepping constantly. So it doesn't matter in which direction. It doesn't matter, you can have one foot forward or the other foot forward, or you can shift over. So you get that natural feeling of stepping, 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 stepping. Now, what you want to avoid certain things. You want to avoid the friction of pulling. It doesn't matter anything here. It doesn't matter if it touches a little bit. But see, there was a friction. That any time that there's too much friction, I have the tendency of like stumbling. So you can have it, avoid. You can be close to the ground, but avoid the friction, especially in a real fighting scenario where the floor might be in a different material, or the ground might be a different material. So, or you have to step around something or over things. Another thing is that your head should not go up and down. You should have it like outside, like you want to move with a gun. So you're like, the head is in the same position. So you're not going up and down. Up and any energy, if you just go up and down, anytime you go up, it's wasted energy. It's going straight up in the air. It has makes no sense. At the moment that you're up, if you're bouncing like this, when you're up at this point, how is your stability? Low. How is your agility? Low. How is your power potential right at that moment? Low. Okay? Hanging in the air is not going to give you an advantage. How is your precision? Now try to take a gun, take a target, and try to do this and shoot to the target. You will find out it's going to be super difficult to hit. But if you're moving like this, it's not going to be difficult, because you're moving with the head in the same position at all times. That doesn't mean that you can't move the head around, but also if you do head movements like this, or you're like a lot of head movements, take that gun, try to move the head around like that. It's going to be very difficult to hit a target. But if you keep the head in the same position, you can move the head, but you move the head with the body. And you can also choose to move the head in or move the head out. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but it's something you add on top of your ability to control your center line. Or your central line, actually, the core line of your body. So that's always stable. Okay, the next one. Now, the most important thing here, that's super important to understand, is that you have to move from the center of mass. You have to move from the center of mass. Now, a little illustration. If I move from the legs, in general, from down here, the power is down here, this is not going to naturally follow. Look. If I move from the upper body, the bottom is not going to naturally follow. But if you choose approximately the middle, the whole thing follows. You move as a unit if you are moving from the center, not if you move from the top, and not if you move from the ground. So that is a very important element to understand. It is that everything has to come from here. So as an exercise, just to begin with, I'm going to stand on the side here. I'm going to put my hand on his stomach just below his navel, and I'm going to put my hand in his back on the other side. Now I'm going to have the foot a little bit in front of him and the elbow a little bit out and in, so I can add pressure on that side. Not too much. I'm going to ask him to do just 2 steps forward. 1, 2, and then I'm going to take this hand and have it on the back, and I put his steps 2, and I put here 1, 2, and on the back 1, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Perfect. So that's the idea. It's just cultivating. Try it out 2 and 2. Put a hand on the other person in the back and in the front, and get that idea of pressure. So what do we do here? It's just to really like walking and not now the footwork is already in place. You're thinking about you're walking from the center of mass. When you're walking from the center of mass, everything else is much, much easier. You will come with more power, more stability, more agility, more balance. Everything is going to be much, much, much easier. So moving from the center is so important. Doesn't matter what style, even in different sports, everything has to be moved from the center of mass. So it's super important. So it's just a practice. Are you doing 1 step forward, backward, or many steps in one direction? Doesn't matter. Just really connect in, feel this pressure into the body. That's it. Okay, great. A little thing about this, it's just a thing I just think of. If he stays 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, staying like that. See here. If his feet, this is, if you take it out in a 45 like this is kind of like a boxing distance of the feet. This one might be a little more closer to this one. Yeah, here. So in most boxing styles, this one is pointing to the opponent, and this one is in a 45. Now it's in 45 because you want to have a free movement of the body all the way out to the side. You want to be able to turn the side like that. Now in close fighting, if you turn the side like that, if you turn like that much over to that side, he's giving me his back. So you will not do that on close distance, so you don't need the purpose of that. Now the problem with this foot is to generate force, he has to, with the rear foot, turn it to create a direction of his knee, because his foot and his knee together is the direction of force. Those things are connected. So at the moment he is here, if he stands like with that foot out, look at that bend that knee, that will not be able to put any pressure forward. That means that if I push on this one in this direction, it will be weak. But if his foot is a little more forward, doesn't have to be like that. Now it's like we're talking about very stable. Okay, the other foot here, look at this. If that one is just pointing forward, and look at this, I'm just giving him a slight pressure in that direction, look at this. It's going to be very difficult for him to stop it. Now, if he closes the hip a little bit in the front, yeah, like that, what happens now is when I do this, I cannot take it because he has already a power line of the knee here in that direction where this power is going. So his whole body is in that position. And it doesn't matter if he turns the body in that direction here, he's still super stable here. And he's super stable here, and here, and here. And if he turns, he's still stable because of the foot position. But the moment he takes that foot a little forward, he loses the stability. So it's a very important thing to understand. The reason why the hips are closed is directional of the feet on close distance. Now, sometimes it's here, and sometimes it's here, and sometimes it's here, and sometimes it's here, and sometimes it's here. It doesn't matter. The idea is the same. You're closed. That doesn't mean that you are locking anything in. It just means that the power is on the inside. Okay? That's really important to understand. Now, in drill 2, that's those 2 steps. Now, the 2 steps, we're going to be doing it not too fast in the beginning. It's a 1, 2. Now, when you go back, 1, 2. The idea is I'm shooting off this one, and then I'm pulling up, pull, pull. And then I shoot off this one, and I'm pulling, pull, pull. And you want to be able to say 1, 2. At the moment you end here, 1, 2 the other way. So you have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You're not hanging out in the middle. You want to be, the body has to move constantly. So there's no 1 and then 2. Two movements are connected into one. Try it out. So yeah, that is the way of creating momentum. You get a longer momentum with 2 steps. The steps are referred to in many different ways, but usually in what we refer to as pressing steps. Now, pressing means that at the time that I'm in here and I have the ability to press. Now, if I move into this one, if I want this one to go forward, I will be able to press, but then I have to move my body weight over on top of this leg to be able to generate force in that direction. If I want to, and this is not ideal in all situations, especially not on close distance. That means also sometimes you can do it because you're just changing from this position over that leg into a new position. So it's not because it's wrong, it's just in most cases, this is much quicker. You also have something behind you shoot off, or here you have something you shoot off, bam, and then you're pulling it in, getting you into that position where you're strong. Okay, and stop. Great. So that's we have to do 2 more steps, and then it's finished for today. The next step is actually a part of the last step. So I will show the last step, where we're going to work on the first one. So the idea is, if I want to move you out in an angle, I move sideways. So my opponent, if he strikes on close distance, and I move sideways, if I move like this, we will both, I'll be open here and I'll have the side to him. But if I move sideways, I keep my front towards his threat. Now on distance out here, I wouldn't do it, because here he has more angles to hit in. So if he was striking forward, I probably would use my side, but that's related to Tamkyu. But in Siulintao, which is on this distance, and I want to get out of it, I rather want to just sidestep out, keeping the frontal towards him, and take the leg forward. So look at this. It's a side step in a 45-degree angle, and then it's a step forward. Now the way to train it is like this. Just start with this, everybody. You sidestep, and you think there's 3 movements. A lift off, a sit down, and a pull in. A lift off, and it's from the knee, lift, pull. Lift, sit, pull. So you have 3. So you think about 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now you want to keep your eyes when you sidestep in the same position at all times. That's really important. And what I want you to do to get a really good sidestep, we're going to do a partner exercise very slow, where we just put the hands on the hip. And I'll do this, look. He's going to sidestep. Now we're going to let him have 2, so he stays on one side. 2 side steps here. I follow along. He takes 1, 2. And then I go on the other side, takes 2 side steps. 1, 2 on the other side. 1, 2 on the other side. 1, 2. So you train this 1, 2, 1, 2, but you're moving from your center of mass. Try it out. So just when you put it, just try it out with each other. When you put the hand here, think about between the navel and the pubic bone. The inside here is the middle, and if you go out here, you will approximately get the hip, and then you go out here to the side of it, and you push it in there. Then you have the pressure straight into the center of mass from the side, and then you walk from there. You walk from there. So getting that idea, it has to be cultivated, because it seems logical and it's very efficient, but it's not necessarily natural. So not everything that's ideal is natural. So, okay, great. Now that's the side step. Now I'll give you a little bit of a technical exercise for it. Because sometimes you use a side step by stepping out. Some you just step to the side, and sometimes you step in. So this little exercise just says side, side, in. Back to the side, out. Back, side. Then I'm angling in towards him. Here I'm angling out. Then I'm doing side, angle, side. So angle, angle back, and side. So just try it out a little bit. So you have this in, angle in, so angle back to the side. Over here, in, back, side. Opposite side, here, here, here. And then you can do it smaller. So you're saying 1, 2. So you have these ones. And then when you go here, 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 here. So you have those small steps. Okay, great. The next one is very simple. What we do is we sidestep in here, and then this leg shoots in there. So it goes in. So you have a side stepping in and back. side stepping in, and back. So you step up, and remember, I'm not stepping out here to hang out here. I'm only stepping to the inside of the foot. It's just a place I step off. It's like one movement. It's two movements in one. So you have a 1, 2, other side, 1, 2, other side, turn. So here, when I step here, side step, turn. See, side step, turn. So I have a side step, turn. Try it out. By connecting these steps, it makes it much easier to create angles. Most of the times, you're just probably going to go forward and attacking your opponent, but the moment the opponent has some kind of structure that stops you from going forward, you should always angle off to a different angle, making sure that you are having a more optimal base of support than your opponent, and you are closing down some of his options, and you are giving yourself more opportunities. Okay, great. All right. Now, here, of course, we can dig even deeper. We can dig in even deeper, but there would be no reason to. This is deep enough. Learn this, train this, cultivate this. If you want to have weight a little more to the rear leg, or you want to have more hip forward or something, hey, that's your preference according to your structure of your body. And that's okay. But these movements and these drills, if you put them in and train them, cultivate them, in the beginning it's going to be very good. Of course you have situations where he's putting pressure on you, coming back and you're doing a whole totally different kind of footwork, or he's giving you some pressure and you're choosing to move out of that, or you're choosing to stepping in. So other footwork is of course available, but it's usually mostly meant for either somebody trying to grab onto you or because there is some distance between you and your opponent. In most cases, the footwork we just went through today is everything you need. So thank you for giving me this opportunity of sharing this with you. Tomorrow is going to be even more exciting because then we're going to build from yesterday's base of the structure of the body and the stance, how that is related to the footwork, and then we connect it in with the striking. And we go through all the little secrets and unique methods of Wing Chun striking. There's some things that I want to share with you there that I bet you haven't heard before. But see you tomorrow. Thank you.